Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about how to detach from someone you love. So if you've got an ex or someone that may have rejected you, basically you've had your heart broken recently and you're wondering how you can start detaching yourself from that person, stop caring about them so much, then this video is for you. Basically how to let go of someone that you love. Okay, so the first thing is really important, okay? And this is probably the most important thing that's going to help you from detaching finally from this person. And that is time. You need to give yourself plenty of time to get over it, okay? Especially if you are feeling right now still pretty horrible about it, okay? And first of all as well, I don't want you to feel like you should be over it, okay? Because if you really cared about someone and they dumped you or they rejected you, it's okay to feel crappy about it. It's okay to need to take some time out to get over it and things like that. So you need to realize that you're going to have better days than others. Some days you're going to feel like you're over it. Some days you're going to feel really happy, and other days you're going to feel not so great and you're going to feel like you're on square one. But you just got to realize that this is just the ebb and flow of life, and nothing is ever linear. It's not like, oh, I feel bad one day, then the next day I feel a little bit better. The day after that, I feel even more better. The day after that, I feel even more better. It's more up and down. Our emotions are more like that because sometimes, different factors come into play. Like some days when you're having a really bad day, it might be because you're really tired or you didn't eat the right things the day previously. There are lots of things that can factor into our mood and how we get over things, right? So don't feel too bad if you feel great one day and the next day you feel awful and you feel like you're back at square one. You probably aren't back at square one, right? But you do definitely need time to get over it, and you will have worse days than others. So just let yourself off the hook and don't be too hard on yourself that you're not moving on as quickly as you would like to, okay? Everything takes time, okay? Another thing as well that will help is if you stop looking at their social media profiles or going back through old messages and over analyzing them, looking through old photos of you two together. You may even need to block them so you can avoid doing this, because I know some people out there, and I kind of used to be like this when I was a lot younger. I couldn't help but check up on them. I couldn't help but look at their page. When someone had rejected me or dumped me, I was like, I just wanted to know what they were up to. I just had to know because I still had feelings and I was still invested. So, and that kind of thing, it keeps you stuck. It really does. It may feel like, oh yeah, but I can't see what's the harm in checking up on their social media? What's the harm to see what their new status update is? There is actually a lot of harm in it, and it does keep you stuck. It keeps you invested in their life, and it stops you from detaching from them and getting over them. Another thing that can help is try to avoid music as well that makes you reminds you of them as well. Like if you've got an old playlist with love songs that you listen to frequently that reminds you of them, stop doing that kind of thing too. Because like I said, it's the same with checking up on their social media. Like it keeps you stuck. It keeps your emotions intense, right? And what you want is you want your emotions about them to be less intense. So if you look on their social media page and suddenly like anger bubbles up or sadness bubbles up or jealousy bubbles up, or you just feel awful and that kind of bubbles up when you look at their social media page, then you know that the moment you keep on clicking on their pages and you feel these emotions, those emotions are still strong. And it's because you're looking at those things that is keeping those emotions there still. Right? The emotions are still going to be there. And if you listen through songs and you feel the emotions bubble up, you're listening to those songs and stuff, or you're overanalyzing those old messages, you're going back through texts they've sent you, and that you feel the sadness, or you feel the worry, or you feel the anger or the jealousy. Again, those emotions are keeping you stuck, and it's all because of these habits that you're doing, right? It's all because you keep on checking their social media, you keep on looking through the old messages, you keep on listening to the songs. You need your emotions to be less intense about them before you can move on. So you need to avoid doing any of those things that are keeping your emotions intense. Okay, so that's another thing that can help you. Another thing that can help you is doing things that empower you and raise your self-esteem instead of doing the opposite, instead of doing things that make you feel bad about yourself, that make you feel guilty. One of the quotes that I really like by Viktor Frankl is, when a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So if you're distracting yourself with pleasurable activities that sound kind of like instant gratification things, like eating too much food, watching too much Netflix, playing too many video games, doing things that are not helping you in any way, then yeah, then you're going to feel pretty bad about yourself, and that's not going to help you. That's just going to keep you, again, it's going to keep you stuck, right? So you want to do things that raise your self-esteem, and you may need to figure out what these things are. Personally, for me, I think an all-rounder that raises the self-esteem, raises your confidence, is exercise. I think that's a really good one. So whenever you have a workout, you're probably going to feel really good about yourself afterwards. So make sure that you incorporate that. Making sure that you eat the right things that are nutritious for you. You may need to speak to a nutritionist about it, because I'm not a nutritionist, but you may need to speak to one if you want to get your diet in order. Go and speak to your doctor about it. That may also help. So you don't feel so sluggish all the time and mopey and just drained. You want to get those kinds of things in check. Another thing may be working on your goals. Maybe you want a promotion at work and you're going to try and go for it. You want to learn some new skills, working on, things that are important to you, like your hobbies, right? As long as they're empowering, like perhaps you want to play, guitar or something like that. Or perhaps there's a sport that you really want to learn, like perhaps you would really like to get into basketball or something like that, or karate. Try and find these things that are going to raise your self-esteem and make you feel better about yourself and make you feel confident, and avoid the things that are going to make you feel drained, sluggish, and guilty, right? So if you go for a weekend and you spent the whole weekend eating pizza and playing video games and eating cereal and things like that, and when Monday comes around, you're like, oh man, I really wish I hadn't spent the weekend like that. I should have done this, I should have done that, and you had all these other things that you wanted to do, then you know that you should not be doing those things, and you should be doing something more empowering. If you feel guilty about certain tasks that you've done, and you feel like, oh, I really wish I'd spent my time in a better way, then you need to keep a good eye on that and realize that, I need to stop doing these things, because these things are not empowering me. They're not making me feel good about myself. They're making me feel bad about myself, right? So whatever makes you feel proud, whatever raises your self-esteem, are the things that you need to gravitate towards, and that will help you feel a lot better about all areas of your life, not just romance. Okay, so another thing that you need to do as well that can help you detach from someone that you love is if you actually heal from it, right? If you actually start getting over it. And one of the best ways that you can do this is by just looking back over the past and writing down what you could have done better, or what the breakup or what the situation made you realize about yourself, about other people, about the world. Really coming to terms with it and being concise about what happened, right? Because a lot of the time when people write about their lives, they actually write as if someone is going to read it in the future, like their ex, or someone's going to come across it one day, when they're dead or something like that. But no, what you want to do is you want to write it down exactly how it happened, with no regret, basically. You want to write it down with exactly what happened, whether you like the truth or not. And that often really helps a lot of people. It helps me as well. I also recommend as well, if you need healing and you feel like you're really struggling with getting over this person, then I really do recommend that you get yourself a counselor or a therapist. I have a counselor. I feel like everyone should, because we all need someone that we can talk to that isn't a family member or a friend, that has an unbiased ear. So I highly recommend, if you can afford it, to go and seek help from a therapist, because they'll be able to help you with not only this kind of thing, not only your heartbreak, but also any other kind of traumas that may have happened to you when you was a child. Because sometimes we drag old wounds from childhood into relationships, and that's why our relationships stink and they don't work out very well, because we're still holding on to old wounds that we haven't healed since we were a child. There's a quote that I like that says, the first 50 years of your life is about getting over the first 5. Right, so that shows you how much work you may need to actually get into when it comes to therapy and counseling and things like that. So actually healing is going to really help you move on from that person. Okay. Another thing that's going to help as well is if you find someone actually eventually, a few months down the line, better looking than the person that broke your heart, than your ex or this person that may have rejected you. If you can find someone that is better looking, nicer to you, and you enjoy their company more, then you're going to easily forget about your ex pretty fast. Okay, but do take time though to heal. And the reason why that's important is because if you don't heal from your past relationships, then you're just going to bring the old baggage into the new relationship, and what you'll find is that new relationship turns out to be very similar scarily similar actually to your old ones. And if your old relationships have never worked out, right, then it's important that you heal that, right? But so you don't have, so it doesn't happen again, basically. You don't want history to repeat itself, right? You need to break the pattern. And sometimes healing and going to therapy can help that. And also as well, I've got some recommended books as well. If you can't afford therapy sessions, you might be able to find some cheap versions of these books online. You'll be able to find them in the description of this video. There's 5 books on dating and relationships, and there's another 5 on personal development. So you might want to just get the relationship ones if that's your main focus right now. But I highly recommend that you go and get them. Right, you could even just write down the titles. You don't have to purchase them through those links, because if you do, I will get a small commission. But if you want to, you can just write down the titles and try to check them out at your local library, or find cheaper versions, secondhand versions online on eBay or on Amazon or something like that. Okay? So another thing as well is that maybe because you're still feeling pretty bad right now, you may need to maybe fake it until you make it, right? So sometimes, you might not have much motivation, especially if you're feeling pretty low about it. So if you don't have the motivation to do all these things that I've already suggested, then sometimes you might just have to fake it until you make it. Just pretend that you're getting over it. Just pretend that you're happier and that you're getting better. And that, you might even use the breakup or this person that's rejected you as fuel, like you're going to show them, like, okay, I'm going to show you, using your darker side, using your anger, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to prove them wrong for dumping me. I'm going to prove them wrong for rejecting me like that. And I'm going to show them how amazing I am. I'll show you how great I am. I don't know if you know that quote. It's used a lot in like motivational videos. So you may have to use that for a while until you can actually do the other things that I've suggested. But that's still better than nothing. It's still better than sitting around and feeling crap about yourself, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.